Hello, everyone, and welcome to Pillar to Post. I am Rashaun, Alleyne, and I'm joined by Kobia, Hamblin, and together we are going to preview the Barbados Thoroughbred Breeders Association race day. It has two co-features of sorts, but for us, there's going to be nothing more important, Kobia, than the Pick-6 carryover. That's at $50,000.
$50,000, I don't think is going to stay there. I think this is easily going to surpass 60, maybe even 65, pushing to $70,000. I think any and everyone is going to be trying their luck at these races.
No, yeah, we're going to talk about that a little later, but a lot of people are going to jump in on it now that the number has ballooned to where it's at. But we're going to jump right into the card. Race number one, it's the Superstar. A lot of weights race for our 2-year-olds, the second 2-year-old race that we have on the calendar. And favoritism is going to jump right at number 3, Venom. There was some, talk about him before he ran. He didn't run terribly. And now with that experience, he's going to be the one to beat.
Yeah, I think a bit of racing luck was missing from his first effort. But from what he has shown me, I don't think he should be failing at this effort, unless he's drifted wide once more. And I think that's a little bit of Oya's Princess here, just being a bit green, shying away from maybe shadows on the floor. I'm not sure. And the number 1 horse ridden by Aaron Daniel was able to take advantage of this situation and simply went on by all 2 of them. What I did like about Venom is although he was floated wide, although he was drifted wide, and as I said, he's a bit green, he was able to fight on and ran past Oya's Princess. And I was very proud of him in that aspect. As long as he gets a clean trip, Rashaun, I think he is going to show what a favorite is supposed to do and win.
Yeah, there's not much more to add to that. We agree, and we all recognize why Venom is going to be the favorite here. And second time out, he showed that speed, he showed that interest, and he showed that courage. Underneath, I'm going to take Dapper David. I think I'd want to take one of the first-time starters in this spot over the other 2 that would have run. Dapper David is out of Miss Magnificent, who's a half-sister to John Bryan and Gold Cup winner Dancing David. And reports have been pretty positive about this one. So in the first 2-year-old race, I didn't have any sort of reports, but reports have been positive. I still think it's going to be hard to beat a horse like Venom first time out, but I'm going to take the Andrew Nunes trained Dapper David underneath.
So basically, in your eyes, Rashaun, this is all a race for second. There's no beating Venom.
Well, 2-year-olds are quirky. I think where I want to bet, there's no beating Venom, but if Venom were to lose, I would not be surprised.
Okay, well, if he were to lose, for me at least, I think it's going to be to his stablemate, Ultrasound. Now, I am going to admit this is a bit of me being biased towards Dorset. I do love his offspring, and I think him onto this lovely mare, Reprise, this strapping colt, looks the part. If you think Venom looks good, his stablemate looks just as good as him. And I think if looks can run, he should be good enough to run second. I'm going to go with, just as you said, a first-time starter over the maybe more experienced horses. But
right,
I stand firm at Ultrasound. I've been given some pretty good reports about this horse. And as of right now, seeing that we're dealing with babies, all we can go on is reports. We don't have any history to go by whatsoever.
No, yeah. But I love that in the second 2-year-old race we have, that we can spark so much conversation with these. But we'll see what Venom can do versus the other 4 on Saturday. Race number 2, it's the Alaska Peak Handicap. And this one is for 3-year-olds and older rated 85 and below. And again, there's going to be a notable favorite that I'm going to take in Princess Aruna, but it is not a walk in the park by any means. And you are going to go against her.
Yeah, I must go against her. I actually went with horse number 2, Aries. And his last effort, he thrashed the field. This was a 90 and lower race going the same distance. And now we're cutting back in class to 85 and lower, where I believe he should be dismantling this field the same way. I do think Princess Aruna is a lovely horse, but I'm a little afraid of her layoff. I don't know why she's been missing for so long. I'm not quite sure, or too confident in my assumptions maybe. But another horse I want to keep a keen eye on is horse number 5, Lovely. Now, this horse has not been the distance in about 5 to 6 starts, but I do remember she went 9 furlongs with Ricky Walcott a little while back, and I thought it was maybe a little too far for her. but she proved me absolutely wrong. She went here with Pussycat, and with about 2 furlongs to go, she's looking for somewhere to go. She's looking for a scene to run through, and Ricky is simply biding his time. I can see he has a ton of horse under him. He finally gets out with just about a furlong to run, and the horse tries to accelerate through the space, but there's not much she could have done from there. And I think if she can do this against this class going 9 furlongs, I don't see why she can't be competitive against Aries and Princess Aruna and Undisputed.
Yeah, I think the Pussycat form is just a little below for my likings with Lovely. I also think she's better, or shown that she's better at the shorter distance. I'm gonna take Princess Aruna. The layoff does not bother me as much. I think it's important to note that her last start was a winning one with these kind of horses, and she took 128 pounds as well. She got a fantastic trip. Like, don't get me wrong, a lot of things worked in her favor, but she also won a 137. And I know that doesn't necessarily jump off the page when our track record is 133. But
Yeah.
these horses like Phil Morris and Undisputed and Priceless, when they win in 139, maybe 138 on a good day. So I think as long as Princess Aruna is back, she's an older mare now and she's a quality mare. So I think as long as she's back in fine fettle, she's going to be very tough to beat. I think it's really her race to lose. Obviously, Ricky Walcott's been in quite the cold slump recently, but starting here, I think he has a lot of live rides on the day, and Princess Aruna is something
When
that
Ricky gets back into form, you can't deny how good he is.
No, exactly. So I'm gonna trust that the favorite will probably be the horse you want in this spot. You mentioned Aries, who you have on top, and I tend not to want to miss the wedding and jumping at the funeral because his last start was fantastic. You mentioned it; it was really good, and I think repeating that effort, he's the horse to beat. But I just think now his odds are probably going to be chopped in half. But I respect him, but I think because I missed out last time, I don't want to take him on top. And then Undisputed, who's just pretty honest and will always give me some money in the exotics.
Okay, I've got you. Rashaun, we're going to skip a page. We're going to go on to the Leave It To Me handicap. This is race 3 for West Indian bred 3-year-old maidens. Now, these lads are sprinting. Now, when I look through this 9-horse field, what stands out to me is Faster Cash. Definitely the fastest horse in this race. But I've been looking at horse number 4, Wonderwall. And this horse has been off for quite a while. Lord knows what's happened here.
Right.
But just as you said, with not having an issue with the layoff of Princess Aruna, I don't have an issue with the layoff of Wonderwall. Why is it? I found her first start. The longest layoff any horse has is between birth and their first career start. And if you're able to run second off the bench and then turn around and run fourth behind our eventual Derby winner, this horse went wrong somewhere, somehow. But I think if this horse has the same heart as it once did, puts away this field very easily.
So we're going to show the replay with Bahari Cove and Dr. B. And that's when Faster Cash was third. And I think that effort was very solid. And that's why I have her on top. So I agree with what you're saying about Wonderwall. And I'll get to that in a second. But I think Faster Cash has just kind of evolved into a pretty honest 3-year-old. She's still a maiden, but she runs well with some of our best 3-year-old sprinters in Bahari Cove and Dr. B. And in this race, she had to rate as well as these two, went to the front and ran 1 to around the track. So I think Faster Cash dropping back with maidens will be tough to beat. Wonderwall is a horse that I like underneath. I think the others that you have to think about are Champagne and Burning Love, who Faster Cash have beaten. So I'm going to take Wonderwall as well because I think the form that she has behind Nostradamus and Mandarin Oriental is something I want, and I don't mind the layoff. What you mentioned is really true with her, how well she ran in her first start. And then it's just everybody else would have to really surprise me.
Burning Love stood out a bit to me in his first start. And this was behind eventual winner Tiptoe and said Faster Cash. But what I found about Burning Love was, as much as this was this horse's first start, a daughter actually of Kit Fisto into Mischief Maker, beautiful filly, was able to stop 2 of these, and no, she did not accelerate and catch him as I like. But considering this was her first start, I think she did just enough for me, and I'm looking for her to take a step forward. and do just that much better this race day. Faster Cash here, as I can agree with you, is going to take some beating, as you can see here, beating Burning Love comfortably. But
no, Burning Love carried herself really well first time out, like very well. So I will say that I would not be surprised if this horse takes a huge jump forward, because physically she looked the part. But there's some others I just like, and I think Faster Cash, people would be tempted to single in this spot because I think she
yeah,
kind of towers over them. But it's really unsafe to trust a maiden. But she, in my opinion, for what she's done, is worthy of a single in here for the Pick-6.
Rashaun, I did take a shot in the dark with my third place, which is Octavia Sienna. Now, this horse has not placed at all throughout her entire career, but I found she was able to go to front in a 7.8 with Tiptoe just a few race days ago, and Tiptoe came back and won, as we saw in the replay just now, very comfortably. I think if Octavia Sienna is able to show that she's matured and she's learned something from that 7.8, let's see if she can do what Tiptoe did and handed her maiden certificate in her very next start. It is a shot in the dark, but I have a good feeling about her.
Oh, I love that good feeling for you. I do not share that sentiment at all. She's very fast. I get that. And her last race, the trip was rough. I agree with that race that Double Juice won. But you're in that boat and sailing and captaining it by yourself, brother. So
don't worry, I've been by myself before. I can do it.
I'm gonna take Faster Cash and then everybody else. But that was race 3. Race number 4. It's the King Dora handicap, and this is for non-winners of 2 3-year-olds and older, rated 35 and below. Now, this is kind of my shot in the dark, and I'm not sure what our morning line, like what the formula is for our morning lines, and if anyone even pays attention to them. But in the race book, Brunei is on the morning line at 50 to 1. And that is an insane that is an insane number for a horse that is rated 33 in a 35 race. And yes, his form is dirty. Yes, his form is routing form. But you have to go ways back, which is why I don't have a replay, because I don't think it made sense going all the way back to 2023 when he last sprinted. But he ran third to Social Circle, and it was a very honest third. Blinkers were on that day, but I think Brunei is a horse that you have to pay attention cutting back. As I talked about all the time, I love a route to sprint angle. Ray's on board, so he has a pretty good jockey assignment. I don't mind the 127 again. As a horse rated 33 in this class, you're supposed to take that weight. And I think Burning Love, if I can get anywhere near to that 50 to 1, I'd be grateful. I know that's going to get chopped in 5, but that's going to be okay. But I think Brunei is the horse to be in this spot.
Well, I haven't gone with the 50 to 1 shot here, but I have gone with, I believe Mo Farah was about 10 to 1 the last time I checked.
Which is insane. That horse has never even won a race. Which is crazy.
I'm not used to taking maidens into races with winners, but for me, no one necessarily stands out here enough for me to be confident with them. So I have to find a horse who has been gradually increasing or gradually improving with every start, should I say. Now, Mo Farah,
I don't mean to call you out, but like 4th into an 8th and then into a 10th, like you have to do some more convincing, because
that's absolutely no problem. That's absolutely no problem. Now, I want you to look back at Mo Farah's last start. Mo Farah would have run with the likes of He's the One, Thunder Lady, Edelweiss, Criterion, all on paper what are supposed to be better horses. But Mo Farah was able to run at least the first 4 furlongs with the likes of He's the One, who we know is tremendously quick.
Right.
And he was sitting just on He's the One's flank for majority of the race. And when they turned for home, Mo Farah got into a bit of trouble. They feel completely spread out, almost 12 wide, and everyone was coming from home and jostling about for position.
Right.
But Mo Farah found himself in a bit of trouble. And in my opinion, my humble opinion, I don't know at all.
Right.
If Mo Farah is able to be competitive with these horses, as I said on paper, better animals, when we step back down into this class where, as I said, there's no standout in the field. Maybe Early Riser, you may say, is a standout, but I find Early Riser doesn't have a very strong finish.
Right.
So if Mo Farah is able to be competitive with these, stepping down, quote unquote, into class with these horses, Mo Farah is my dark horse, where I think a lot of people, if they don't share the same opinion with me,
you shouldn't be mad. I think Mo Farah is a horse that has single winner written all over it. I think it's also, you're, as I said, it would take some convincing. That's a pretty good argument, running with higher horses like that and coming back to the corner, as you'd say. Um, I'm here with a long shot too, so I don't have that moral high ground to stand on. And then you mentioned early riser. That's who I'm going to take underneath, and I took him for a lot of reasons. Actually, Ricky Walker, I think, could have a pretty good day. He's been missing in action. 112 pounds. That's going to be a huge break, and then he's won a race. So he hasn't been winning, but he's a winner in this conditions race over Lady Jane, who's a maiden. And I think that
And does stand out a lot in these types of races.
And I know early riser is the type to show up. He's coming off 3 straight seconds. So I'm going to take him over Lady Jane. And then underneath that, I'm going to take number 9, Red Ribbon, who's also won a race and beat Lady Jane. Went over the trip last time after her maiden win, and I just think the pace could come back a little bit here with the Mofari you mentioned and MoneyGram especially. So yeah, that's my super for this spot. But I'm going to take, hopefully, the 50-1 shot can come home for me.
That 50-1 is going to turn into 5-1. I almost guarantee it.
Right.
And we do share our 2nd, 3rd, and 4th places, and I do share very similar opinions as you. As I said, the horse that stands out in this field, I said no one stands out, but
right.
So with 3 straight seconds, you can't ignore. And these seconds were 2 at 5.5 furlongs, which this race is going, and then he ended up routing and also ran 2nd at 7.8. Lady Jane, who also showed some good effort sprinting recently, she will need the apprentice claim. I think 129 pounds is a lot to ask.
It's just way too much.
Yeah, -5 may help, but I still think she's a little bit heavy. And Red Ribbon as well, 125 on these small frame horses. They definitely do require and appreciate the apprentice claim. I don't necessarily have anything else to add to what you say, but let's see if your 50-1 can turn into 5-1 and my 10-1 can turn into 90-1. Let's see if we can get that.
Yeah, fingers crossed there.
Signing up for BTC bets is very easy. Go to barbadosturfclub.org. Scroll down to start betting. Click sign up for a free account and fill out the form. Check your email for the verification code and enter it. Create a personal password and PIN, and you're all set to start betting.
Race number 5, it's the Blues Dancer handicap for the older horses rated 50 and below. It's also the high 5 race on the card, and I think that one is going to prove to be a little lucrative. And Kobia, we think it's Queen Justina, Red Eagle, and then everybody else.
Yeah, Rashaun, this is one of the few times where we share not even just first place, but second place too. Our 3rd, 4th, and 5th do differ, but in this race, my eyes are locked in on Queen Justina. She is going to benefit from the apprentice claim. She does have one blemish on her recent resume. She has an 8th place in her last effort, but I do give that to the soft going that particular race day. But when you look at her form, she has 2 wins recently at said distance that they're going, Saturday. Red Eagle, on the other hand, you can call this a quote-unquote step up in class compared to what he's been running with. But these 2 horses do stand out to me. And if you look at this effort where they did end up running 1-2 with the same jockeys, I believe, Rashaun?
Yes.
With the same exact jockeys, and Queen Justina had the easiest of trips. Red Eagle, who's a bit of a closer, is going to come rallying late. He is going to love the 112 pounds that he does have with Ricky Walker. But again, similarly to this race, I don't think he's going to catch Queen Justina. I think she's going to get away. She's going to win very easily Saturday.
No, I think the Queen Justina that we've come to know is going to win this race. I agree. I'm drawing the line through her last start because it was very soft. So throwing that out the window, her form is fantastic for this caliber of horse.
Almost impeccable, actually.
Right, yeah, exactly. I think Red Eagle is a horse who's getting better as he's getting older and is not a 35 rated animal anymore. I think that's so he's going to continue to benefit, I think, as you said, with the weight break of 114 pounds. But this is a horse that if he were rated in the 40s, I think he would be competitive. And his last couple of starts, you saw, especially behind Queen Justina, where they had similar weight and he was able to rally well and finish second. I'm not as sold on Queen Justina as you are, because I think I could see Red Eagle beating her, but she's the class horse in this field. And I guess the trend is going to continue with me taking favorites.
Where we differ is on our third, fourth, and fifth. Well, we share Gaze, but you have this horse all the way down to run fifth. Gaze, who I thought was a closing type sprinter, did prove me wrong. Just after Gold Cup Day this year, ran a 7.8 with Kadeem Mohammed. Yes, there was a 7-pound apprentice. Yes, it was a 7-pound claim. I'm sorry. But this filly showed that she is able to route, and she should be able to boogie with these, in my humble opinion.
No, yeah, the ability to route is not a question. She's a 3/4 sister to Knight Rider. She's out of his sister and by his father. So the pedigree is definitely there to route. I just think it's a class conversation for me, and that's why I have her a little lower, but I think she's a pretty solid filly. I take High Velocity, who is single-handedly the reason that I lost the Pick-6 last race day. I think you were a victim of the same High Velocity, so maybe you are scoring.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, not being happy about that. But I'm going to take High Velocity. I just think, again, I talked about this earlier with Aries, where I missed the wedding and now I'm jumping at the funeral. But I think High Velocity showed condition like that I've not seen from her before. She looked fantastic in the flesh. The performance showed on the track. Ray is on Heroes Day. High Velocity is going to get the claim, and I like that. I don't mind the draw either. It's a mile. She has pace. She'll get that to run in. And then Heroes Day dropping and Gaze underneath for me.
You know, when I looked at the horses coming into the parade ring last race day, I looked at High Velocity and I said, I am going to lose the Pick-6. This horse is fire.
No, I've never seen her carry herself better or look better than she did last race.
I absolutely agree. Now, I don't have her here simply because I think this race is going to get away from her. This race has obviously a lot more depth to it. This has a lot more horses as well. And I think there's going to be that much more pace going forward. High Velocity is one of these horses that I think is better at 9 furlongs. I could be wrong, but I had to change and I had to go with horse number 3, Legendary. Legendary, who is stepping up and getting better as it gets older. A son of Legion, I think the only winner of Legion.
Right.
This horse should be on the front end pace, where I expect Queen Justina to sit right behind. But at the top of the stretch, where Queen Justina basically picks up her race and goes on, I see Legendary falling away, but not any further down than fourth. Sorry.
Yeah, I think this pace is going to be through Legendary. I just think it's a quality conversation for me with Legendary. If he were to win, I mean, he's rated 49 and a 50, but that's probably because he wasn't beaten down the ladder. So we'll see what. He's the type of horse you want in a high five anyway. That's going to make it pay. But we'll see. I think, as you said, as we agree, is Queen Justina and then Red Eagle and probably everybody else. Race number 6, it's the Kabul handicap, and it's for 65s and lower. Now, I think, and I talked about this in our recap, the horse that I'm going to end up on, number 5, Bahari Cove, is doing as good as any horse would do right now in the country, and I would not have been afraid to take a shot with him in the BTBA sprint, but they didn't, and he's a horse that I like. I picked him second 3 straight times, and he's hit each time. But now you're going against him. I have him on top. To me, it's Bahari. It's really Bahari Cove, who's another likely single in this spot.
And simply because you think he's a single, I have to go against him. I have to find something that's going to beat him, and I think that is going to be Magnific. Now, I watched Magnific go 7.8 after quite a lengthy layoff, and she was able to lead the field right back to the top of the stretch. This is where Life is Great would have taken over. I think he would have benefited from the apprentice claim. I think he had only 108, 109 pounds, somewhere of the sort. But after being off for so long, and leading horses to the top of the stretch. Again, this is the same argument I had earlier with Mo Farah. Simply showing effort and ability I think when fitness comes into play, I need you to take that one big step forward, and I don't think Magnificent is going to take a bad step. Bahari Cove
No.
is, I agree, hard to ignore, but this is just me being me and not going with the crowd. I have to find a way to beat Bahari Cove.
No, I think what you said about Magnificent is important. She showed a lot of speed off the bench last summer, and it's okay to show that speed again. But if you look at Bahari Cole's last start in the replay where he took on Dr. B, and that is the first time I think I've seen this level of engagement from Bahari Cove. And horses do well, they just start to do things right. And I can see a similar trip here sitting off of Magnificent, who in a certain world might not even get to the front here. Last time out in that speed, like no one really Red Force broke poorly and no one really wanted the lead. But there's a true presence here with Gunsmoke, Kendar's Lady, Marvel. I thought Northern Lady was super fast last time out. That was proven wrong. But I think Bahari Cove just gets such a good trip. I like Magnificent and I respect her. Have her second, and I give a lot of. This is probably the most well-respected maiden at the Garrison, but I think that Bahari Cove is just doing fantastic right now, and I'm going to keep capitalizing on that form. And then underneath, I'm going to take Red Force, a horse who, as I said, broke poorly last time and was able to rate and run second, which was a surprise to me. 2 starts back, 1 rating at sprint distances. So I think with all the pace that I mentioned, he doesn't necessarily need to get mixed into that, and the race can come back to him.
I think Red Force has shown he simply likes to run, whether it's from the front, the back, whether it's routing, whether it's sprinting. As long as it's a race and he's engaged, he's going to be there at the end. Now, I do think at the end of this race, the pace is going to come back. You did mention some speedsters, like likes of Marvel, Social Circle, Northern Lady. Bahari Cove, you have to wonder if he's going to be able to be engaged as early as before, seeing that there's more depth in the speed. But with so much speed, it has to crumble at some point. Someone has to.
And I also on Red Force a little bit. I am a little weary of the fact, and obviously I don't know what went into the decision, but aware of the fact that Beckles is on Social Circle and not Red Force. But we'll see what happens there. And then Marengo.
Well, Ray's been riding him more than Beckles as of recent. I think Ray has more wins on him than Beckles does. So is it really so weird?
Well, I found it to be weird. He's ridden him in his last 2 starts. Obviously, one was a win and one was a second. So I think it was noticeable that Ray is now back on. But maybe they alternate and Ray is the one they want to win with. But that was race number 6, the Kabul. Race number 7, and this is a mouthful, the Grade 3 Francis Cozier Memorial Breeder Sprint Trophy. And it's for Barbados bred 3-year-olds and older. And it marks the return of one of our greatest Creole sprinters ever. And I will argue with anyone on that. And it's Dominus. And he's coming back off a little bit of a layoff. And he is looking to win the Breeders' Trophy there's so much records here, but 4 straight times and more than anybody else.
No, I can see where everyone is going to single Dominus, but I don't see him winning. Now, Rashaun, when I look into Dominus' form, 3 starts within the last calendar year does not say to me this is a sound horse. It says something is underlying, and I am thinking, I've watched the Code run at Dominus 2 years ago, and ran at him, got beat by a short head. Last year, in this replay, you can see Dancing Prospector got a beautiful inside run and ran at Dominus late on. And being that every year he's having less and less starts, I'm thinking this is a year maybe he is going to be taken down. And if anyone is to take him down, I think it's going to be Dancing Prospector.
So for me on the Dominus train, I obviously am not super thrilled about taking a horse who between last BTBA sprint and this BTBA sprint, he's got 2 races in between them. But he's also rated 24 pounds higher than his next, which is Dancing Prospector.
Does he know that?
This is a horse. Yeah, but this is a horse that has run huge races off the bench before, won his first time out ever. And I think, and this could be a hot take, but I think the worst version of Dominus is better than any version of anybody else in the race. Now, is he vulnerable? I admit that, and I understand why. And you can handicap this race without Dominus in it. But I think if Dominus shows up at 80% of himself, they're going to be running for second.
I guess that's absolutely fair. Another horse that I do have to highlight in this race, especially with his last race, is Major Dan. Major Dan just sprinted with 130 pounds against the Queen, Enisa. And I
I'm not
found
calling her the queen. I like her, but I'm not calling her the queen.
I find a horse running with 130 pounds. He gave a big effort. He showed so much heart. He made me sit back and say, whoa, this race is way more open than I really think it is. Now, here's where the question lies, at least for me. Dominus is a speedball. Major Dan's best races, he's been a speedball. Can Major Dan run onto Dominus' pace when he's stopping?
So I handicapped this race with the intention that Dominus is going to show up. So that's why I have Dancing Prospector second, Major Dan third. But if Dominus does not run his race, I think this is Major Dan's race to lose. And the trip looks like Major Dan's gonna, like, Dominus may have a bit more company than Major Dan, like Paper Trail may go, Jericho and as well. So I think Major Dan gets a comfortable trip sitting off. And if Dominus doesn't show up, Major Dan's in the one to close. Major Dan's last race, as you mentioned, versus Enisa was very good. He went to the lead and ran Enisa as far as he could with 130 pounds. 132 pounds, though, again, I just can't see past a horse at the caliber of Dominus just because, he's got niggling issues. Because it's not the first time he has issues, He's been running with issues
That's
for
with any athlete, of course.
Right, exactly, with his last couple of starts. So he won this race last year, not coming from the spa sprint to this race. So I'm not sure now at 8 why I should be worried that he can't do it again.
Okay.
Yeah,
I guess he should consistency and heart for you to absolutely
maybe Dominic is just on vacation now. He's just like, I don't need to run in between. I'm just going to come off the bench. But again, I understand why people would be a little weary. I'm not completely going to just sell Dominus here in the sprint. You either, and this is the last leg of the Pick-6, so you're either completely hoping that Dominus wraps it up for you, or you're trying to fade him and beat him, and hopefully you win the $50,000 by yourself if anybody else wins the BTBA sprint. But it's the big three: Dominus, Major Dan, and Dancing Prospector.
I think it takes a lot for anyone to single the last leg when you have $50,000 at stake.
We're going to talk about that in the end, because that's a rule that I do not try to break, but I might be tempted to break it. But we'll talk about that when we get to the ticket. But that was the BTBA sprint, and we're going to move on to the actual feature. It's race number 8, and it's the grade 2 BTBA stakes and trophies, going 9 furlongs, and we get the Derby 1, 2, 3. And then we get Kite.
So close your books, class dismissed, Nostradamus.
Right. So I think we could end the show right here, because I don't see how they beat her in this spot. There's only 4 horses. None have any speed. 9 furlongs is a trip that she's won beyond. So, and it's gonna be firm. So how is she supposed to lose when Beckles puts her? Because we know now for sure Beckles is going to do what he did in the Guineas. Yeah, what he did in the Derby. As long as it's firm and the filly's healthy, how can we not expect a repeat of the Triple Crown?
Yeah, as I would have mentioned in our recap of the Derby, yes, you can send someone to go with her, but you automatically know if you go with her, that's the end of your race. So as I expect, it's going to be easy up front. She's going to be about 10, 15, maybe even 20 lengths clear. Yes, she has never won at 9 furlongs, but she's won further. And if we put logic to this, if you've won further and you cut back in distance, it shouldn't be an issue for you. I think where people are going to have separations in opinion has to be their second line, where, as you can see, I've gone with Mandarin Oriental second place in the Derby, and you've gone with Raconteur third place in the Derby.
So the head-to-head, obviously, Mandarin Oriental is the horse you want. I just think the Derby was so weirdly run, and Mandarin Oriental got a great trip. I just think a little bit of saving ground for Mandarin Oriental making that move versus Raconteur. But I wouldn't be surprised if Mandarin Oriental beats him again, because to do what he did second off the bench with a horse like Raconteur, who was seasoned in the Triple Crown, was very impressive. But again, a 4-horse field with Nostradamus doing what she wants to do makes the other 3 very interesting, and any of them can run behind her.
I think you put it absolutely perfect, where you said they're going to have to do what Nostradamus wants to do. She's going to come out the gates and she's going to make her mind up. on how far she's gonna go, how far she's gonna beat them. Write the chat
Yeah,
right now. Closing
yeah.
bets, class,
And I
please.
think I kind of mentioned it in our recap. All that's really left for this race to prove is for Nostradamus to run against the clock. She's never gone 9, and now you can go, because when she ran in the Guinea, she ran 135, and people talked about that. We talked about how slow the Derby was. Maybe now she goes 9 and she can run 150, 151, and now you're thinking, okay, maybe this filly gets stronger, and you might be thinking Coolmore Gold Cup. So we'll see. But it's going to be a pretty interesting race to close out the day. Well, the Pick-6 ticket, we're going to jump in, $50,000. I'm going to go pretty cheap. I have been pushing after this Pick-6 for quite some time, paying expensive prices and not getting it. So I'm going to go cheap, and hopefully we can come away with $50,000. In race 2, I'm going to go 1 and 2, Princess Aruna and Aries. Race 3, 4, and 6 with Wonderwall and Faster Cash. I think Faster Cash is definitely a single on many tickets. In race 4, 3, and 6 with Early Riser and Brunei. I think my 50 to 1 long shot, I hope I can get Brunei home. Then in race number 5, 1, 5, and 4, Red Eagle and Queen Justina with a little bit of high velocity. Race 6, I'm going to go a little bit deeper. 1, 5, 9, and 11, Magnific and Marengo with Bahari Cove and Red Force. And then the rule that I talked about breaking with Dominus, I never single in the last leg, but I just think there's no reason why I should think that Dominus is going to lose to, other horses that are rated in the 50s and the 90s. I just think this is one of our best Creole sprinters, and it's going to be a 4th BDBA sprint for Dominus. So those 6 legs at 50 cents, $48 total.
Okay, Rashaun, I have to go a bit more expensive, more than double your ticket. To start off, as much as I don't have Princess Aruna as a winner, I do have to respect the class that she holds. I can't have a Pick-6 and not include her. I'd be very upset if I only went with Aries and Lovely and I was beaten by Princess Aruna. She has to go into my ticket. Wonderwall, as well as my outsider, Octavia Sienna. I have a very keen eye on this filly, Octavia Sienna. That's for race 3. Race 4, I go into Lady Jane, Early Riser. And again, I have a keen eye on Mo Farah. I'm looking and seeing him improving with every start. Sir, I think it's time to hand in your maiden certificate. Race 5, Queen Justina. I really, really want to single her, but at $50,000 at stake, I can't take a single into Saturday's race day. There's no way. So I went with Queen Justina, Red Eagle, and Gazed. Race 6, I can see where the pace is going to come back to Red Force, but Bahari Cove and Magnific, they come along with me. Bahari Cove, I think, can travel with Red Force. Magnific, as much as she is the lone maiden in the race, I'm not leaving her out. And the last and final leg of the Pick-6, we go to race 7, the first of the 2 features. Rashaun, you had the audacity to single Dominus. I'm sorry, but I don't have the heart to do it. I'd pass out. I have to take Dominus and Dancing Prospector. You were able to single. I can't. This is why my ticket is $162 at 50 cents. Let's see if your theory with playing a cheaper ticket to win bigger works out. I've seen it happen before. My fingers are crossed for you, sir.
Yeah, so there you have it. I'm going to go a cheaper ticket, and hopefully this is when it finally works out. But it's going to be a very interesting race day. The 2 features have a lot of talk surrounding them, with the breeder stakes with the 3-year-olds and the BDBA sprint for the older Creole sprinters, and the $50,000 to a single winner ticket for the Pick-6. So again, thank you so much for tuning into Pillar to Post, and may all your tickets be winning ones.